Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mick Robson from the Arena Media, here with my second interview of our series. We've got the one and only, the dad bod god, the board, the beard, the fucking beautiful, the best Austin in professional wrestling, Piers the Truth Austin. How you doing, buddy?
Whoa, I'm good, man. What an intro, bro. That's very, very good. Very good. Thank you so much. That
Welcome,
was
man.
amazing.
I was thinking about the intro all day. I'm like, all right, I hear you do it on shooting the shit. I've got to try and live up to that. So
Oh man, I thought that was great, bro. Well done. I liked it. It was really good.
thanks, man. I just thought getting into this interview, like we've talked about and sort of off camera, just I want to get into what makes you tick because you're always the one giving interviews, being the host. Figured it's your time to be put in the hot seat. So I don't know, it might be something different for you, but I want to get into your journey because obviously you're a man with many talents, doing a lot of things. How did it all start for you as far as like being a fan of professional wrestling and venturing into this world?
Being a fan, I remember being really, really young, like probably, and like probably even like I was maybe older, but I think I was probably around. It was like I was born in '82, so like I remember seeing Hulk Hogan beat Sheik,
Okay.
which I think was around 84, 5 or something like that. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe I saw that like a couple years later, maybe around 87. So maybe it was around like that age. But I remember seeing Hulk Hogan going, oh, wow, like this guy is pretty, like, whoa, like impressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember watching it. And then it was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really got into it. I was a fan of it. And then I was like, I saw Rowdy Roddy Piper, and I'm just like, oh fuck yeah! Like I remember being a kid, like my mum going, well, "Why don't you go for cheer for Hulk Hogan?" Nah, Roddy. Like
Yeah.
that's she's like, but he's a bad guy. I go, nah, he's cool. Like he's
It's always
like
more fun. They have more fun
I was
here.
probably 5 or 6 or something like that age, and I was just like, it's cool. It's like I don't know. Maybe I've always been the sort of person that's like to go off the cuff and go against the grain, so to speak.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'm a little bit younger than you, so I'm an Attitude Era kid. I was born in '90, so my first wrestling was Attitude Era. So,
Nice,
so first thing
nice.
I saw was Austin and
My
Rock, right?
teenage years.
There,
Well, well, dude, like the funny thing about that is like, and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but it's like I got cut out of wrestling for a few years. Like there was probably like when I was like maybe 9 to maybe 12. And then it's like when I was about 13, around 1995, I started to get like into it a little bit. But then like 96 came around and like you know what I mean? Like when I was like 14, 15, that's when like my real fandom, I think, for the business started when I was a teenager. Like I remember watching it as a kid, like really young, up until I was like maybe 9 or 10
yeah,
or 11. You know what I mean? Maybe around that. And then having a couple years break from it. And I don't know why. I think it was just it just wasn't on TV. Like we would watch it whenever it'd be like on Sunday sports on, I think they had WCW. Uh back on then and maybe like certain stuff, but it was like unless it was on late at night and it was way past my bedtime at that stage. But
yeah. I remember as a kid, I didn't have like pay TV, so it was we watched WWF Superstars. It was on at midnight, so it was all we had on free to TV was
Yeah,
Superstars. So
I remember that.
very limited stuff, but interesting that you caught like the two boom periods. So as a little kid, you remember seeing Hogan and Sheik, and then teenage years getting into Attitude Era. So
Yeah,
imagine experiencing.
I think like my because I have older cousins that are older than me by about 7 and 10 years. So like I remember being at our grandmother's house and them like having a lot of wrestling tapes because it was like I said, that was really in the peak of wrestling, which was the 80s where like WWF really sort of catapulted to what it became today. So like that was like I think they like the golden era of wrestling. Golden era
Yeah,
is like what like I am a fan. Like I still go back and watch some old stuff like that from that era as well, and it just sort of gives that nostalgia feel. But I like the Attitude Era stuff as well because I feel like that gave wrestling more realism.
yeah, and that
And
against the grain kind of thing, right?
yeah, 100%.
So you went through that sort of stage of Attitude Era, and then eventually, I guess you found Aussie wrestling. How did that come about? Becoming a fan of
Uh,
Aussie wrestling.
so it would have been 2001. I was 19 years old and I was working at a retail shop called Cash Converters.
Uh,
And this woman started working there, and like her husband was a professional wrestler, and so like she must have told people in the store, and I must have said I was a wrestling fan or whatever, or something like that. So she's come over to me, introduced herself, broke the ice, and said, "Oh, I heard you're a wrestling fan. My husband's a professional wrestler," and my ears are just like, really, like as in WWE style or like Olympic style, like, you know what I mean? Because I've
yeah,
like I met people like go, yeah, I'm a wrestler, and I was like, yeah, grappling. I'm like, oh, okay, like, no, I want to do
yeah,
like I want to
that's
see
no
what
fun.
they're doing. And she was like, yeah, no, WWE style. I'm like, oh, cool, cool. And she's like, yeah, like we spoke or whatever, and like she spoke to her husband, and she came up to me like the next day and said, oh, he's actually going to go training on Saturday, and he said if you want to come with him, like to meet him here at like 8 o'clock, and he'll go and or at 9 o'clock or whatever, and you can go with him. And this is before Facebook or any social media, anything like that. And bro, like, so I've gone, okay, cool. So I've gone, ready to go, everything like that. And so he takes, and I go and I meet this guy, and this guy, bro, was like huge. Like I'm talking like he, 6'2", 6'3", 120 kilos, just a big muscular dude. A
It was
big
like, hello, sir, how you doing?
big Iranian dude who's probably like, again, like 8 or so years older than me. Like he was probably like mid 20s at the time. I'm like 18 or something like that. And this guy just comes up. He's like, "Are you Pierce?" And he had this like Persian the Iranian accent. I'm like, yeah. He's like, "I'm Mehdi." I'm like, all right, cool. And he took me to Mark Mercedes actually was running a school then for IWA. They had their own training facility. And I went out there and I met Mark Mercedes, I met Tyron Townsend, and just being a complete mark at the time, just like marking out over this shit, like just what I mean, like having no idea about the etiquette, and they're probably were probably popping huge for it, like now knowing how I'd what I mean, like how it'd
Yeah,
be, but
I
like
suppose
me
as
being
being younger,
just
being
this.
a kid and that, like,
Yeah, like I don't even think I was 19 yet. I think I was like 18. I think it was early then. And I'm like, so I'm sitting there, I'm hearing all out, and then it was like, yeah, so it's $1,500 upfront payment. So how would you like to pay it? I'm like, and my heart just went and just sank. And I'm like, oh, this is like I'm 18, 19-year old. I don't have that money. So I'm like,
nah,
oh. I'm like, oh, sorry, can we swear in here?
nah, it's all good, man. Go for it.
And I'm like, oh shit, like, and I'm like, all right, cool. And it never happened there. And like, I became friends with Mehdi, and he was like a regular performer, like in the main events. He was wrestling Mark Mercedes a lot during that time. So I went to a lot of shows with him, and I was around back like that back then, but more just like as I guess a hang around, if you know what I mean. Like that's the thing. Like I was just going and being there and just like sit in the back and wait for the show to start. And like,
Almost like a roadie of sorts, but like for wrestling, I guess.
no, not even that, bro. I was just like going because like my mate was wrestling, and he's like, yeah, just come, bro. It was like, all right, what else am I doing tonight? So I'll just go and do it. And like that, bro. Like I saw Robbie Zuko's like first matches, bro. I tell him about this because it was around that time where it was like he was sort of coming through as Rob Matrix, and I tell him, and he sort of popped it for it because it was like I was like, yeah, I mean, I remember seeing you wrestle Billy Cole, and he was like, who was another really good worker back then,
Yeah.
and Billy Cole actually went and trained in the Hut dungeon and all that sort of stuff. And like they used to have some absolutely insane matches. Like they would be like their matches. Oh, you'd probably compare it to like I don't know, like just name a top tier match of two young talent, like cruiserweight style. You know what I mean? Like
Like RVD, Jerry Ling kind of thing, or
yeah, similar to that, mixed in with a bit of like chain wrestling as well, maybe. But like they were really good, man. But yeah, like I was just around. But bro, to be honest with you, like, and I always say this, man, if I wanted to be in the business, like to wrestle, and if I wanted it bad enough, I think I just never really wanted it that bad enough, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like if you did, then you would do, like you see
It's
people,
sort of
you hear
move mountains to
stories
do it
about
if you
people.
were really
100%, bro. And I think I allowed a lot of people to mess with my head when I was younger about it. And it was like, because back then, like wrestling wasn't like as cool. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe the non-wrestling people they don't think it's cool, but
yeah,
like I think what it is pretty fucking cool.
yeah.
And
Same here.
back then, it wasn't as accepting of coolness. I don't know, bro. Whatever it is, like it was kind of looked at like, oh, you like wrestling, like
Well,
really,
I think I
like
went through a stage, I think, where it was really cool, like the Attitude Era from like 98 to like 2002, maybe. Everyone was like mad into it at my school. And then the next year we went into high school and everyone pretended like they never watched that fake wrestling shit. But I always stuck by it and, I still thought it was cool the whole way through.
yeah.
So then as I came on as a
I
wrestling
always
guy,
thought it. I mean, I always thought it was cool, and I would never care, bro. Like I would
yeah,
admit, fucking, like, yeah, you know what I mean. But but that's the thing, man. Like I think that that's just being confident in. Hey, like I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna like conform to like fit in with you just because like I like something and I'm not gonna no, bro. I was wearing fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin shirts and fucking all that sort of stupid shit when I was a kid.
oh, I
And,
still do.
bro, when I was like, in my 20s and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, bro, you know what I mean? Like, that was just, but I'm saying back then when it wasn't as accepting as that,
Yeah,
where people
you just
down
didn't
on
give a
it,
fuck.
I
You were
would
just
still
like,
do it.
yeah,
I just didn't give a fuck. I'd be like, yeah, no worries. Like, it
yeah.
is what it is.
So did you have like an athletic background like that you could have parlayed into wrestling? Like, did you ever do like martial
Yeah,
arts or something like that?
yeah, I played rugby as a teenager. I boxed. I did kickboxing. I trained MMA for a while as well. At that time, I probably wasn't in the best athletic shape. I don't think when I first went to the tryout, and I think I was like that was a time like because when I was around 18, 19, I went through a breakup and just like ate everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
just,
just being a fucking eater or
just ate your
whatever.
feelings, right?
Yeah, I don't know, bro. Like I was out drinking, I was being stupid and just gained a bunch of weight and I wasn't like thing, but it was like I still went back and got in better shape and went and trained and years after that tried to go and fight MMA and all that other stuff.
Oh, so you actually gave MMA a go.
I trained for a while, bro. Yeah, like back in 2012 I was training. Like I'd had a few amateur boxing fights, I had a few amateur Muay Thai fights when I was younger. And then I was wanting to do an MMA fight. And like my coaches wanted me to fight at I think it was 60 kilos. And like I kind of went and just agreed to a fight at 70.
Yeah,
It's like because I was like, whatever, like, I mean, like, I didn't realize the weight cut as well, like, but I did a practice weight cut. I knew I could make the weight and everything like that, and it got close down to it. And then 6 weeks out, I was training. I was doing Thai pads with one of the coaches, and two guys were doing jujitsu behind me. One guy went for another takedown, didn't see me there, and just went from behind, and my knee just buckled, and
oh,
my kneecap went from the front of my knee to the like close to the back of the knee,
shit.
and that was it. Yeah,
Just
like
ended it before it got started.
that was it. It was like fight is done. It's not going to happen. I recovered, didn't need surgery. Luckily, they were able to get it back in, but they were like, yeah, you can't do any impact for like 6 to 12 months. Like, I mean, swimming is what you can do. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what
slow
about
impact.
like everything? Like I was at the point, bro, like I was training at like I'd wake up at 3 a.m. This is 100%, bro. Like I'd wake up at 3 a.m. every day, and I'd like wake up, get changed, go to the gym, and I'd meet the be at the gym at 4 a.m. and train until about 5:30 with my boxing coach. Come home, shower, go to work, come back to the gym by about 5:30 do strength and conditioning for an hour, have like a 10-15 minute break with a protein shake, then go back into an hour of jiu-jitsu, and then after that do an hour of Muay Thai. And then like if I still had any energy left, I might go and do sparring after that. But
That's
like
tiring
maybe
me out
a
just
couple
listening
of
to it. That's insane schedule.
yeah, dude, like that was like the thing. And then like you get injured and then bang, all of that is just like you can't do any of it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And you can't even like go for a walk. You can't like, bro, like it went through like, bro, I went depressed. I
that's
was
what
like, fuck.
I was about
Like
to ask what that like was like mentally, but yeah, it's
bro, mentally it fucked me, bro. Like honestly, it really did. Like I just ate, I drank, I blew up. Like at the time I was around, my walk around was about anywhere between 79 to 81 kgs. Um, and then I got down and then, but I blew up to about 115 kilos.
yeah,
And my wife during that time and like, you know what I mean? Like fell in love and bought a house and got married.
yeah,
And then it was like, we were going to get married in 2015. I was like 2014. I'm like, you know what? I'm living out in the Shire now. I really want to give MMA one more crack. Like, I think my knee's good. You know, went up, signed up at a gym, tried a few different places out, you know, found one that was like, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to fight in the next 6 to 12 months. I want to fucking train every day. This is what I want to do. Like, can we do it? Yep, yep, yep. No worries. Went in there and bro, like, just I didn't want to be there. Like anytime someone would leave and go for like a leg kick or something like that, I'll be like, whoa.
yeah.
Like
It's
I
like
was
in your
so
head.
in my head, like even takedowns, bro. I'd turn up for jiu-jitsu and being someone who was no one on the mats, like I'm going, no, I'm not gonna roll with anyone but a blue belt and above. And like what? I'm like, no, I'm because it's like the people who don't know are the ones that are gonna injure you. The
Yeah,
people who know what they're doing aren't gonna injure you when they're rolling. They're gonna, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna
technique and
learn from
things.
them.
Yeah,
And I was like, and you know what, to their fairness, I never did. Like, I was like, no, I'm only going to roll. And I explained it. I was like, I just don't want to get injured. And they're like, the coaches were new coaches and they're like, than what I had before. And they're like, you know, like your knee's good. Like you're okay. Like, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to I just wouldn't put myself in situations. There were certain drills that I want to do because I thought it would risk hurting my knee. And it was all mental. It was like, bro, my knee has never given me a problem since. And it's like, it was just all mental. And it got to a point where I was like, I was going training and I'm just like, I'm not actually like having fun.
mm.
Like, I don't like, I'm newly married. Like, we're trying to have a baby. Like,
And it's like
I don't
putting,
need,
like
I,
putting
but
stress
I
on
don't,
yourself that you don't need, I guess. Like,
yeah, like, it's like, you know, I've got a good job. I'm earn good money. Like I'm 33, 34. Like, bro, I'm not going to go make $1 million at this. I'm not going to go make money having a fight. No, I'm just going to put myself at risk of getting hurt. You know, or getting seriously fucked up from getting knocked out or whatever it may be. But it's like I don't need it. And I still hung around at certain gyms and trained and stuff like that here and there. But I was just selective always, like after the injury, of where I trained and who I train with. And even after a couple years after that, bro, I was training a couple of times a week with a Muay Thai coach down here it was in Caringbah. And you know, just I'd really dug the vibe of the gym. It was really a lot of fun. I trained with him somewhere else, and I was like, "Yeah, cool. Let's go check it out and support them." And you know, always had fun. Would go spar. It was just good people that understood what they were doing, and no ego involved in it. So no one's trying to like take someone's head off. It's always very like chill when it comes to sparring, like you know, sparring, but you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it
So
was
it's, you know, there's a
fun.
little bit of aggression there.
Yeah, but it's not like anyone's intentionally trying to knock someone out or do damage to someone.
Sure,
And
sure.
that's why I was like, you know what? That's where I did that for a while and then had kids and life took over.
Yeah, as it does. But I know you've done some MMA commentary now. Did that training experience sort of help towards your commentary now, like giving insight to sort of what's happening?
Um,
Yeah.
no, because I don't think I was like overly trained incessantly. Like the places where I was training at, like I don't know, bro. Like they weren't really the greatest. They're not really known as fight gyms. Like, oh, one of them is, but I don't want to like mention it. But like, I thought that trainer, the one in I talked about in the Shire, was just. I don't think he was a good coach, I don't think he was really the coach. I don't know. He may be a good coach to other people, but maybe he wasn't a good coach for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I just didn't really like his style. That turned me off it a little bit as well. But yeah, like I wouldn't say that I'm like this MMA genius, but I feel like the commentary side of things, yeah, look, I understand the fight game a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I said, I wouldn't say my past experience puts me as like a pugilist expert in any means. But yeah, look, I know a fair bit about MMA. I enjoy it. And yeah, the opportunity came for me to call an MMA show down in Canberra for Enduro fight series, which is run by Ben Edwards, who's fought guys like Alistair Overeem. You know, his fight, fought for the Ultimate Fighter. Tried to get onto the Ultimate
Yeah.
Fighter, and he's probably known as one of Australia's best combat sports heavyweights. And
Legitimate experience there.
yeah. So he is one of the guys that heads Enduro, and it was just an amazing experience, amazing opportunity. And also the other combat sports, the Muay Thai fights I've been able to call on the Steve Jez shows, and the Billy Hussein fight nights for boxing has also been great.
Awesome, man. I saw Enduro were putting out for a color commentator on that show you did. And I was thinking I'd love to give that a go. I'm like, I've been watching MMA since like 2002, but then I saw the list of checkpoints, and one of them was like combat sports experience on the microphone. And I'm like, I haven't actually done it. I've called UFC fights in my lounge room. I'll sit there and watch Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg, now John Anik call things, and I'll call a spot before they acknowledge it on commentary. And I'm like, I sort of know what I'm doing because they just said what I said a minute ago. But I'm like, damn it, I haven't got the CV. Maybe another time.
Man, you should have just auditioned for it, man. Like it's that was the thing, they wanted to see what was out there. They like the combat sports thing. They that came from wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be honest, they saw what I could do, like what I did on commentary from a play-by-play aspect. They've seen it at what I can do from a color aspect. I've always said I don't think I'm that good of a commentator. Like, when people have like said, "Oh wow, that was really good," I go, "Really?" Like, I mean, maybe that's just always that self thing that
Yeah.
people always, but like, I always just go, "Oh, really? Okay." But like, that's how I got those opportunities, was through professional wrestling.
I've always noticed your energy with commentary. Like, you always seem passionate and energetic about it. You seem like you actually give a shit, which is more than even some people in WWE and AEW can say. Like, you sound like you care about what you're watching, which, isn't always the case with some commentators. So that's
Well,
a huge amount.
I mean, if you're on commentary and you're not like, this is the most exciting thing in the world, this is like, I mean, and there's moments, and that's something that I've had to learn. Like, when you're doing commentary, like there's moments where like you can't be like, oh my god, like 100 mile a minute, because your throat's not going to last.
Yeah.
Two, people are going to go, this guy's just screaming into a microphone. It's not pleasant to listen to. So it's just understanding the balance of like when to raise it, how to raise it, how to, you know what I mean, like to really deliver it. But
Also,
I
it's
just
not authentic then. If you're at 100 the whole time, if you're acting like everything's awesome, then nothing's awesome because yeah,
100%, bro. And to be honest, when I'm on wrestling shows, bro, like when I'm doing commentary, I don't really necessarily go searching to find out who's going over or not in a match, because at the end of like, if I find out, I find out. But like, to me, honestly, like I would rather give an honest reaction to it. So
yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like, why not have that element? Give me the element of surprise. And I've worked for some companies that have just said, they've said, "Hey, we don't want you to know the finishes because, I don't know, maybe it was they didn't think they thought I was going to go fucking tweet it out or whatever," and
yeah,
which I would never
expecting
do.
it. But yeah,
But like, it was more along the lines of, no, we just, and that wasn't impact or anything like that, like, because I wasn't doing commentary, but like places I've done commentary before said, no, we just see it because of like, we
projecting
want
it.
to get an actual reaction for it. We want it
Yeah.
to be Yeah, but I honestly feel like not knowing the finish if you're in a commentary position is good because like you do get that natural like authentic reaction.
So I heard that WrestleMania 30, Michael Cole didn't actually know to finish to Undertaker losing his streak.
Yeah, I don't
Because,
think anyone really did. I think that was like decided just I think the only people that knew was Brock and Taker and Vince.
well, people were saying, oh, Michael Cole knew. And I was like, no, he's not that good an actor. Like, you could hear the shock in his voice.
Bro, 100%. Like he was just, you know, I think you could definitely hear that shock there and you can see it. And like that was what's made I think that moment even more special, you know?
Yeah, because like everything around it, some people sort of think of commentators like they can take or leave commentators, like they act like it's not important, but I think it's an essential piece to the puzzle. When you look at those iconic moments, you've got those sound bites of JR or King or whoever else it is over the top, and it always adds that flavor to whatever you're listening to. Like I think back to the Hell in a Cell, Mankind Undertaker. Like what's that moment without JR's call? Of course, my witnesses broken in half. Like,
Yeah, man. Well, that's the thing. It's like that can add to the moment, bro. And just like how bad commentary can ruin a good show too. You know what I mean?
oh, my number one worst example of that. Did you ever watch WWE's version of ECW?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah. Mike Adamley?
Christian returned? Oh, Mike Adamley, yeah, but when our Christian returned from TNA and he comes out and Todd Grisham just goes, "It's Christian." I'm like, he's been away for 4 years. Like, put some energy into it, but he says it like it's
Yeah.
that
Make it
almost like
feel
it's that
special.
mate that you see down the street from high school that you don't really want to see. It's like, oh fuck, it's Christian. It's
Hey, man, maybe they had heat. Maybe that
maybe,
was maybe Gresham's like, fuck that guy.
maybe, yeah. But it
Fuck
really detracted from the moment because I was hyped to see Christian. It's always been one of my favorites. And then it's like, yeah, Captain Charisma, awesome. And he's like, oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah, good to see you, bud.
So going into that then, like we talked about your fandom of wrestling and then starting to become a fan. How did you get into doing podcasting and then becoming a commentator? How did that process all start? What made you want to put yourself out there as a podcaster and then commentator and that?
Um, the podcast thing just really came of an idea that I just had with like just like talking about wrestling. I was just a fan and just I mean could see like I had a few wrestling friends and stuff like that and thought let's start a podcast and like it was more like streaming to like a Facebook group and stuff like that. It started as, and then it was like they were just like, oh yeah, no, I can't do this time. Maybe that like it just wasn't really anything like we could really lock down. So it was like, yeah, I'm going to try and interview like wrestlers. So I started reaching out to people. And, I think like the first interview on my channel is with the first one on the YouTube channel. Like I think about I had about 2 episodes that are gone and will never be returned, unfortunately. Which were the first 2, which were like pretty horrendous. But the first one that on the YouTube channel was with Shane Taylor from Ring of Honor. He was a former Ring of Honor TV champion. Really cool dude. He was like probably my 3rd interview. And then after that, I got Thunder Rosa when she was wreaking havoc in the NWA as the NWA World Women's Champion. I had Zicky Dice on after that, who was the television champion for the NWA. That's when NWA was running hot, like just before the pandemic.
Before the whole Kara thing.
Yeah. And then I interviewed the Messiah, who's a deathmatch wrestling, I guess legend, Billy Welch, who's most infamously known for having his thumb cut off in a home invasion. Didn't you know that?
No, that's.
Have you heard of XPW?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll talk offline about that. But yeah, it's a whole allegation story that's been out there, and it's been heavily. Yeah,
Just
go watch.
My nerdy ass has seen it all. Somehow I missed that one.
No, go watch Dark Side of the Ring on XP. Bro, like when I was in my like like late teens, early 20s, I was a huge, 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 huge fan of indie wrestling. Like I would follow everything. I would have magazines. I was like ordering DVDs from like Combat Zone Wrestling back in the day. And like, yeah, like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like I think it was like 2000. I was ringing up like Combat Zone Wrestling's like hotline and ordering Cage of Death and stuff like that. I'm like, can I get Cage of Death, please? Sent to Australia.
Huh? That cost a fair bit, right? Going into international shipping and all that.
Yeah, I didn't really care, bro. I wanted to see like Cage of Death. You know what I mean? Like at that time, I was just a fan of deathmatch wrestling, and I was buying like tapes from XPW and CCW, and I was seeing all this stuff because I was getting the magazines, and I'm seeing like all this like deathmatch stuff, and it was like it intrigued me at the time, being a young man, full of testosterone, seeing something like that for the first time, and really going, wow, this is like next level, and then really. Getting like Ring of Honor tapes and all that sort of stuff. Like back in the day, there was a whole tape trading little community, eh?
So what kind of things do you watch? Do you still watch those sort of things nowadays, or do you veer into more mainstream stuff?
I don't watch any deathmatch wrestling anymore. Actually, no, I'll tell a lie. I do watch some deathmatch wrestling, and I just don't like what the current deathmatch scene has to offer. If that makes sense. Like I feel like years ago, like there was actually guys, and there are guys and girls and a few people that can actually wrestle and without the gimmicks. And then there's people who can't wrestle and they just do the gimmick shit, and it's fucking evident and it's dangerous and it's fucking horrible. And and that's the thing. I don't want to invest my time into watching people just fucking mutilate themselves, Mick. Sorry, not sorry. Whatever you want to say, bro. I'm not into watching that shit. I'll watch certain deathmatch stuff when it makes sense. Like, bro, I sat down and watched a deathmatch little like pop-up show that was on YouTube from one of the American promotions. I sat down. The first match was dog shit. The second match had Colin Delaney in it, who was in WWE in the ECW thing, right? Yep. He was in the death match. And he was in the second. He was in the third match. And bro, like he was in a light tube gimmick, all that sort of shit. Didn't use anything till the finish. But had the whole crowd invested, teased it. But when it finally, the light tube finally hit,
that's what I was going to say. Like spots over story, the spots are over the story, right? If the story is there, no matter what type of wrestling it is, it's going to mean so much more. But if you just go on spot for spot or gimmick for gimmick, it loses its appeal.
But bro, like you can turn around and say, oh, but we get the crowd reactions. Okay, well, you can get the crowd reactions doing other stuff as well, mate. Like without fucking mutilating yourself and hurting yourself. Like, and that's just what my take on it, bro. Like, I don't think, I don't think like there's many great wrestlers out there that are doing deathmatch wrestling. I don't think there's many good wrestlers out there that do deathmatch wrestling. I think there's probably a handful in this country. I think there's probably less than a handful
in the country. Yeah. So have you seen Deathmatch Down Under? Much of that?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
No thanks. Like not interested. Like it's just I'm really not interested in it, bro. And like I just don't see. I'm not interested in their product. And to be honest, like from what I've seen and heard about, their show, that there's not many people left that really want to be working on their shows either by the look of things. And it's like, I'm not going to speak out of school and say things that I've been told, things from people. And, like I've had conversations with someone from over there not too long ago. And, I simply gave my thoughts on a few things and a couple of things that I heard that were mentioned regarding my name, and we'll leave it at that. but like I addressed it with them and that person, and I said, this is how I feel. And, you know,
I mean, I'm not privy to what's going on over there, but from a
bro,
fan's point of view, I've seen a few things like they've lost venues, they've had to reschedule shows. Like, it's not a good look from the outside looking in that it's like the structure of it's kind of gone sideways. So
because bro, like what people don't understand, what do people call pro wrestling? What has it always been called? By workers, by fans, everyone. What is it called?
The F word?
Nope.
Carney?
Nope. I'm going to use that word in the next sentence, but yeah, like you're on the right tune. They refer to it as the business.
Right.
Bro, you don't compare professional wrestling to any other business in the world. You can't, bro. Like you can't compare. Like wrestling does not operate on the same levels of normal other businesses, bro.
Yeah. Professional wrestling is not always the most professional outlet, I guess.
Not, bro, like professional wrestling's great. I love it. But there's also a lot of shit that gets put out that, like, I don't know, bro. I don't want to shoot too hard here. But like, dude, I feel like there's a lot of good promotions out there, but I feel like there's also the shit ones that are going to ruin it for some of the good ones.
Well, then let's switch gears then and talk about some of the good ones. What do you consider to be like the higher levels of Aussie indie wrestling or worldwide wrestling at the moment?
I mean, look, it depends on what you deem success at. How do you deem, yourself? Like wrestling's so subjective. Like I've just said I don't like deathmatch like Down Under. I don't like their product. I don't like the promotion. Whatever I said, right?
It's not your cup of tea. That's
100%, bro. But like that doesn't mean that there's not like 200, 300, 400 people that it is, or 1,000 people, or whatever their demographic is. There's people there that turn up to their shows. There's people there that watch their streams. So there's a fan base for it. But what I'm saying is like not necessarily I might go, that's not my cup of tea. So I can't say, yeah, that's shit. That's bad. Like that might be good. I might not be the demographic that they're going for. And that's okay as well. And that's something that you have to look at it as. Absolutely, but like my opinion, like I say it how it is. Like I say how I feel. And sometimes that's taken the wrong way.
I think we just got to remember that opinions are opinions, and it's like the old ice cream analogy, right? Some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla, some people like strawberry. It is what it is. But no, I just wanted to get thoughts on what you do like, because you're someone who's prominent in the scene and you're normally the host and you keep it on a level. But just from a personal fan point of view, if you were to sit down and watch wrestling, what are the things you enjoy? It's not saying that the rest are bad, but Piers Austin sits down and enjoys.
Bro, I like to watch more. Like, bro, I don't sit down and watch full shows anymore. Like if there's certain things I want to see, like there's matches, I'll buy the card on Fight TV, or I'll go on to Binge, and I'll fast forward to that particular match or segment that I want to see. Like that's kind of the way that I would do it. But like it's depending on who the workers are, depending on what's going on. But for the most part, like bro, for me to sit down, I like to watch like early 2000 Ring of Honor.
Yep.
Like, I think that's really good. I think like the indie scene around that time was pretty good over in America. I mean, PWA is pretty good. I enjoy their product. EWA is pretty good. I think EWA is still a company which is still growing and learning and sorting out a few of the operating side of things, which I think, they have an amazing locker room. They have, they're very upfront. They're very honest. They're very nice people. I think UE Pro do a good product. I think MCW does a good product. Bro, like I'm going to offend someone if I don't name every single promotion in Australia. I enjoy watching bits and pieces of certain things. Like I can't name a particular promotion because I'm watching like it just depends on who's on and who has sparked my interest and gone, oh, I want to go see what this person's about or what their match is or how it went.
So do you follow what's happening overseas with some of the Aussie talent, like people like Grayson Waller who are doing things in WWE or Robbie in NJPW? Do you follow their exploits?
Yeah, bro, I've seen what Grayson Waller's been doing over there, and he's just been leveling up after leveling up over and over, man. Like, in all honesty, I think he's destined for some great shit. You seen when he went into NXT and then he's on the main roster and he's like, he's rubbing elbows with like wrestling royalty and all that sort of stuff, man. So like, bro, that's a guy who worked his ass off for it. And bro, man, you can't hate on the dude, bro. Like, he's living the dream that like everyone in this fucking like in the industry in Australia or even in any indie promotion is wanting to be. You know what I mean? Like, anyone who says they weren't in his shoes, come on, man. Like,
so, you know who his first pay-per-view appearance was against, right? Who he faced in his first pay-per-view segment?
John Cena.
Yeah, Money in Bank London. John Cena on his first main roster pay-per-view. Like, who can say that?
100%, bro. 100%. Like, dude, like that's, man, good luck to him, bro. Like, nothing but love, bro.
Yeah. So I love to see that. I've seen Waller since his like rookie year. He was in a rock and roll wrestling show in front of like maybe 50 people at the academy that had an Adapter.
Yeah.
And you could see straight away his charisma just burst off the page. You could see he had it straight away. But so I love seeing that progression. And same with Robbie, going over to Japan and doing his thing there. My question leading from that is if you would look at the scene, and I think I can think of one person you might think of, but if you could name maybe say 5 people who you think has the ability to go over and make that kind of international splash, like a Grayson Waller. Is there any 5 talents? Not saying that anyone you don't name isn't capable, but any 5 that jump off the page as someone that could make that sort of jump. Like Booker T's Fave 5.
Lena Cross.
Yep.
Jimmy Townsend. I think wrestling ability, Kasai.
Yeah.
I think he's in ring. I don't know if the gimmick would get over on that level, on WWE's level. I don't know about that. Please don't be upset at me, Kasai. So that's 3, right?
Yeah.
The Pariah.
Yeah.
I think they have a good look.
They stood out a lot on the showcase to me, the Australian showcase down in Wagga.
Yeah. I think those 5, absolutely, off the top of my head.
So
and chucking Vinny Vane there as well. So
I was waiting for it. I was like, you'll get heat if you don't say Vinny Vane.
Oh, bro, I'll get buried. Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Wagga, I almost forgot about that. How was that experience down in Wagga with Impact and Oceania Pro Wrestling?
It's pretty wild, man. It was a lot of fun. Went down there. The day of the show, like we left early in the morning, and me and my wife made the trip down, and we went, checked in the hotel, and just my wife took me to drop me off, and it was just like, geez, this is wild. You know what I mean? Like the nerves were a little bit there, but the little bit of the imposter syndrome sort of kicked in, and I was like, you know what, let's go. And I just walked in, and before I walked in the door, like, I was met by Cam Vale, who was walking in at the same time, and that was the first time we actually met on a face-to-face level. And we went in, we talked for a bit, and I was talking to Michael, one of the referees from RCW, and he took me to the locker room and dropped my stuff off, and went for a walk around. And just as people came in, it was just hanging out, and saying hello and that sort of stuff. But it was just, honestly, bro, it was an insane moment. Like it was surreal.
How would you compare that to your experiences working with like Aussie promotions and differences, similarities, things like that?
Dude, it was a completely different experience altogether. Like, and I'm not saying this as to shit on anyone. Like, I think from a production standpoint, like the close, like PWA's production would be close to what I've worked with previously.
Yeah.
But I feel like that it was completely different, bro, because this is a company that films for television regularly. You know what I mean? So it's a different beast altogether. Like any show that I'd like had done ring announcing for, I'd never had an earpiece in. I never had like the producer of the show in my ear the entire night, which that was like, you know, that was like that was fun, but also intimidating as well, because it's like when you can hear Scott Demore in like on the in the earpiece the entire night, and he's very much like, okay, this is what we need you to do, and he's telling the referees, okay, hold the belt up, hold the belt up, hold the belt up, all right, put it down now, like, you know what I mean, okay, check on him, all right, bail out, ref, now bail out.
Did you get much chance to talk to him outside of the earpiece?
Yeah, I did. I had a chat with Scott. Like we had a chat at the production meeting. Really, really, really cool. Very, very nice guy. You know, I think he knew people's nerves would be at a bit of a high, and he was just like making jokes and just, you know, being a little, you know, having a bit of banter, which was really good. And I feel like that settled like a lot of people. Like we were all like, you know what I mean? Like he was very warm and welcoming, and you know, he came up to me and he was like, oh yeah, can you do the announcing like the main event, like a boxing announcing? I said, oh yeah, I do that as well. And he's like, what? And he came up to me, he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, I also commentate on, I said, blah, blah, blah. He's like, what do you do in wrestling? And I'm like, explain it to him. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I didn't want to be that guy.
I do everything. I'm pretty much a jack of all trades.
No. But I wasn't trying to like pitch myself, you know what I mean? I was like, oh fuck, like I'm like, yeah, so I do this, I podcast, I manage, I've been an on-screen authority figure. And he's like, well, that job's taken. He goes, but fuck, get Josh or Matt on the phone, they're fired, we're sending the Aussie in to do commentary or something. Like I was just like, it was just having a bit of a laugh. He's like, oh wow, that's really cool, man. And after the show, went up to him and asked for a moment of his time, asked for feedback, and you know, he gave me all the time in the world, just said, hey, you know, you made an error here at the beginning, but that's okay. You recovered well. Like, you know, you did this well here, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like there was two things that he said, like, which I knew straight away. Like after it happened, I was like, yeah, I stuffed that bit.
Was that the countdown to the show?
Yeah, I think that was a work, to be honest. I think I got ribbed on that one, but that was like, yeah, but no, actually, no, we're going to give another minute. And no, that was like the first match announcing. I started announcing doing the intro for the first match, the match I started to call prior to it. So I was like, oh shit. But yeah, it was all good. It wasn't like the end of the world, as he said. But he just said to me, he's like, you know, you sound good. You have a good sound. You have a good voice. You have a good, you know, presence. You look good in a suit.
All very true.
Huh?
All very true. Very accurate.
Oh, nah, thank you. But I just said, oh, thank you very much. And I said, thank you for the opportunity, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Absolutely. I reckon, you know, next time Oceania Pro Wrestling runs something, it'd be a fool to have Piers Austin on board.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's very nice of you.
I mean, legit, man. You've been killing it for ages. I suppose just before we sort of wrap it up, have you got anything else in the pipeline coming up as far as future gigs or plans to promote, take over the world?
Can't tell you.
Share?
Can't tell you. Nah. Yeah, look, I've got a couple of, depending on when this is going to air, I've got a couple of fight cards coming up on the 19th. I'm going to be doing commentary, which is going to be at the Arena Sports Club, I think in Bankstown, for the State of Origin Amateur Boxing Series, which I'm going to be commentating on that. Then I think I've got another Muay Thai show the week after in DY. So stick out, have an eye on my YouTube channel and all my social media to find out where I'm going to be.
Awesome. We'll link them in the description. And suppose before we wrap it up, I wanted a quick game of our word association. So I'll give you a name or a phrase.
Oh,
You
okay.
just give me the first word, phrase, sentence comes to mind when I say this name or thing, right? All right, ready? First one are Robbie Eagles.
Amazing athlete. Amazing talent.
Agreed. Country music.
What'd you call me?
Country music.
I think some country music can be good, but I think some, like, it's like anything. It's like any art form. It's not my cup of tea. It's not my go-to, but there are certain things I like. Like, I'm a big Johnny Cash fan, so.
Classic. Conor McGregor.
Probably the greatest combat sports entertainer of all time.
Interesting.
I mean, dude, like, he's won belts. He's never defended them. He's an entertainer. He puts asses in seats. People want to see him fight. He's a good fighter. I just don't think I don't really think I don't know if I want to see him fight anymore.
Keep selling the whiskey, and Prop 12's not bad. It's a good job. Vince Russo.
Vince Russo. This is one word, or like, what can I like?
Oh, word, phrase, sentence.
Vince Russo. A man that the wrestling fans have no fucking clue about. And you know what, bro? Honestly, I'll put Vince over. He is one of the most caring people. And, you know, if you're a friend of his or someone who works for him or you know, I've been very lucky to have him as a friend and someone I worked for a couple of years. And he's one of the absolute nicest people, one of the most down-to-earth, caring people in the world. Yet he's probably the most misunderstood.
Very divisive figure, for sure.
Mm.
Next one, AEW.
Potential.
Interesting.
Potential, but it's garbage. It's shit, but it has potential to be less shit.
So it's shit that could be polished up.
It's shit that just bro, it's fucking it's garbage. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's fucking shit. Like, bro, anytime I've tried to sit down and watch AEW, bro, I last 5 minutes. It's like, the booking is atrocious. It's indie on a high budget.
Heard that a lot, yeah. Back to the Aussie scene.
Sure.
Steph DeLander.
I don't know what to say about her. I got nothing.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
You'll have to cut that one. Sorry.
Someone you might be more familiar with, Vinny Vane.
Another person I'd put like similar to Vince Russo. Just, you know, a very you know, nice guy. Great, like one of my closest friends in the world. Amazing human.
He's always been fantastic to me. I've only known him a short time, but yeah, 100%. And last one, budgie smugglers.
Oh, no one wants to see me in a pair of budgies. I'm telling you that much for free, bud. But yeah, no, like, I'm all for it, man. Hey, rock them, bro. Rock out with
you, yeah.
Rock out with you, Kong out.
That's it. We might have to Photoshop the thumbnail to be you in a pair of budgie smugglers.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I jest. But seriously, thanks so much for your time tonight, Piers. Really appreciate you and taking the time out to have a chat tonight about wrestling and a bit of your journey as a fan and broadcaster and combat sports extraordinaire, jack of all trades, everything you're doing.
Thank you,
Smashing
man.
it.
I appreciate you, man. Keep up the good work doing what you're doing here, man. I love seeing people doing this sort of stuff and getting content out, bro, and just grinding and just, man, keep pushing forward, bro. Keep doing it. And man, if there's anything I can do to help, bro, please just reach out.
Awesome. Appreciate that so much, man. Right, everyone. My name is Mick Robson. This has been Piers Austin. Till next time, keep killing it as always.